Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here, and I'm with Deniz Yusuf, who's holding up his cup of coffee and showing everyone how valuable coffee is. We'll touch on that in a minute. Of course, with Michael Sanz, and this is the Outsourced PM podcast show. Really excited today. We're going to be talking on 5 ways that you can grow a rent roll using a virtual assistant, and how you can be getting them to do a lot of the work for you that's going to directly and indirectly influence growth in the business. It's something that every rent roll, every business owner wants. So Deniz, you're holding up a cup of coffee there. What's that about?
I am, because I'm in Melbourne, and I don't want to date stamp this, but I'm in Melbourne and I haven't had a coffee in around 12 days. That's almost 2 weeks. So this is my first coffee I've had in, let's say, 2 weeks, Darren. I'm excited.
Now, you guys have only just landed back from London. You went to the other side of the planet for what? What did you go there for?
Oh, we went there for Teams by Design, because we wanted to go over there and educate as many agents as we could possibly in the smallest period of time that we had, all about virtual assistants and streamlining their businesses.
Now, in the UK, virtual assistants in property management, not a lot of people know about it. So you guys went to a conference as a sponsor. You had banners up. There was 1,000 people in property management, probably some of the best in the UK property management industry. Well done.
Largest property management conference there as well, Darren. It was huge. Yeah, so it was great to be part of. There's a lot of chit chatter about virtual assistants, over there, isn't there, Michael? But no one's actually putting anything in place.
Yeah, people have been quite scared to get started.
Yeah, there's a huge fear factor. I mean, Australia and New Zealand, they were like that many years ago, that same fear factor. But those that have taken it on, and we've got, quite a few clients over there, they are like they keep looking for more. Like they've grasped the value of it, and they're loving it, and they're demanding more from us, which is great.
I've spoken to some of those clients. One particular guy, Paul, he in 6 months, he's put on 2 VAs, and now he's putting on a 3rd one to be his personal executive assistant. He's seen how easy it is for someone to keep him and his diary and his tasks and his appointments all organized, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, let's just get to the topic of the podcast. We got 5 ways to grow the rent roll using a virtual assistant. So straight off the cuff, I think the first biggest one, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room. It's really taking a whole heap of tasks off your team, the stuff that's keeping them bogged down, mundane, grind tasks. There's up to 30 tasks. Before I hand things over to you, Michael, to talk about this one, and of course, Deniz, just go to Teams by Design Tasks.com. That's teamsbydesigntasks.com, and you can download a list of the up to 30 tasks that you can easily delegate to a virtual assistant, which means you can get all these tasks done faster, more efficiently, more cost effectively than you and your team can get done on the ground. So go and download that. Michael, why is it really important that we've got to unbusy our team first if we've got any hope of growing?
Well, we find in general that people are just busy being busy, and it becomes an excuse of why they can't go out and do growth, because they've got so many tasks that they're stuck doing, leases, inspections, arrears, maintenance, all those things. So one of the easiest and simplest ways to remove the roadblock, right? Have a virtual assistant take away the time, repetitive, mundane, grunt work tasks, and free up your time, right? Because if you're doing 8 hours a day of normal work and someone comes in and takes away 4 hours of your day-to-day admin work, it's 4 hours you've got to invest in growing your business.
Yeah, I mean, Darren, as you know, I was a BDM, and I started, as I started listing a lot more properties, and you got all this paperwork that you got to prepare, you got to get the house prepared to do, and that was bogging me down from doing my income producing work, which was picking up the phone, networking. So, in-house, we actually put on another staff member that then took those tasks away from me, so I could then jump out and do it. But having a virtual assistant, they can take so many more tasks away from you and be experts in those fields, so you can be income producing, we all know that a BDM is going to list more properties if they're networking and using the phone more and doing those income producing tasks. But like Michael said, you can get bogged down being busy. Like, why would a BDM be doing a lease when they could be picking up the phone and creating more leases to get done, right? So, you've got to take those non-producing, income-producing tasks away from your staff so they can actually do better work within the company.
So we're taking away the low value, low productivity, and replacing it now with the time that they've got with high value, dollar productive growth, customer service activities, which is great. And I just want to encourage everyone, look, right now, if this is new to you, you've never used a virtual assistant, no doubt you've got concerns with, well, what about task accuracy? Or it's going to take me too much time to train somebody, or things like, what about their English skills, or they're in the wrong time zone. How is that going to work for me? All of that stuff. Look, that's easily answered. We have covered that in other podcasts. If you just go to podcast 4 and 5 in the Outsourced PM podcast show, we cover those. But I just encourage you, get in contact with Michael. Just go to teamsbydesign.com and just fill in one of their contact forms. Michael can run through that. Don't let that objection get in the way. It's easily overcome. You just got to know how. Michael will be happy to explain how you can overcome those objections. But guys, so we talked about unburdening, unbusying our team, unshackling our team from this mundane grind task, this stuff that just keeps them busy. Now that we've unburdened them with virtual assistants, what are some of the key tasks that our team on the ground can be doing to be growing the rent roll? I guess a hint here, Dennis, there's a lot of work around talking with current clients when it comes to growing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could get your virtual assistants to call your current clients as well, but I'd be taking those tasks away from your staff so they can be actually building those connections and calling the current clients.
Yeah. So very quickly, how can our team on the ground, now that we're unbusy, be growing the rent roll with our current clients? What sort of connections or conversations can they be having?
I think if you're a business owner out there, I'd be asking your team and yourself, how frequently are you calling your clients, and what are the reasons you are calling your clients? The main feedback we get is people are only calling their landlords when there's a problem. But what we strongly encourage is no reason calls. Like the very least, the absolute minimum, connecting and re-engaging with your clients. If you were to call one of your landlords cold, with no real relationship, and say, hey, have you got anyone you can refer to me? More often than not, they're going to be stumped and say, well,
yeah, they're not a raving fan yet. So
no, they're a 5 out of 10 with you. They're not upset. They're not happy.
In the old school way, the traditional way, we're all busy doing mundane, everyday, low value, low productive tasks. And that's what keeps us busy away. Once we've unshackled, then we can be freed up with time to be calling our clients for all sorts of reasons. Dennis, you've got some training around this, some touch points. What are those let's go through some of those touch points or reasons that you can actually make a call and be building that trust and building that raving fan.
Yeah, so one of the things that I did is I was always asking them about, trying to build rapport. It's really important at the beginning of a conversation, whether it's a new client or whatever the case, is finding out what they like, whether it's a sports team, football, netball, soccer, whatever their thing is. And I'd be writing this down, having those emotional notes. And whenever their team played against me, I'd be sending them a message, bringing them up, saying, hey, Michael supports Essendon, right? I'd ring him up, hey, your team's playing my team this weekend. Good luck. Like having a bit of banter and adding some emotional to a connection that's supposedly only meant to be business. So it could be sporting, it could be finding out when his birthday, anniversaries, or kids' birthdays, whatever the case is. And it's a simple picking up the phone and letting them know. I used to love, Darren, when someone would ring me up and say, hey, just want to, my daughter's about to have a baby, or my wife. And I'd be saying, oh, when's the baby due? That's exciting. And I'd be calling them a month before the baby's due as well, and then ringing that up. And that's new business, but then I would follow that on. The birthday's coming up, or a christening I'd keep an eye on, whatever the case. There's a couple of examples. And these are personal little touch points that you're doing in a business transaction. It takes your business to a new level.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, people are thinking, oh, I haven't got time for that. Yeah, you haven't got time for it. If you're doing it the old school way with all the tasks being done in-house, your teams get busy, busy, busy like a hamster on a wheel, never ending, grind, grind, grind. This is why you've got to take and release your stuff from that. You'll be able to do all this proactive communication instead of all this reactive, because that's only a little bit of time that you've got for it. In fact, you've probably got no time for it. Let's just keep on going with this, because there's so much here. Google reviews, online reviews. What are typically the touch points or the points where our property management team can be getting in contact with our clients, asking for an online review? Because this takes time, this takes work. We can do it when we're unshackled. What are those touch points, Dennis? How is our team now going to be able to get us hundreds of online reviews?
The best time to get those Google reviews or any testimonial is at the happiest point of the client. So, an example of that could be, if you've had a takeover inspection of a property and you've taken it from another client or they're a private owner and they've come on board and you've finally got rid of a tenant or they've started paying the rent, and they call you or they message you and say, wow, thank you, pick up the phone, call them and ask for that review. If the property's just been leased for the first time, that's the best time to be asking for those reviews. You do the proactive thing and pick up the phone, and then you could have your virtual assistant then doing the follow-ups via email, chasing that review for you. So you don't just ask and then forget, so they can take care of follow-ups of certain things like that as well, reminding them about the review, sending them the link on your behalf, and tapping them on the shoulder and getting it. But Google reviews is absolutely amazing. Always ask at the happiest point. If someone just sent me a text and said, oh my goodness, thanks for the training, I've done this, I'd be picking up the phone and then saying, hey, thanks for that feedback. I'd love you to write me a Google review, drop my name in and not Michael and Darren's, and adding that personal banter that they love as well, adding emotion again, which is awesome.
So just going back now, we could go on all day about rent roll growth, because you guys are probably two of the best rent roll growth coaches on the planet. And we could go all day on this, because that's also what you guys do best. And so if you want to talk to Michael or Dennis more about growing your rent roll, about how to get your team busy once you've unshackled, just go to inspiredgrowthtraining.com there, go to contact us, and Dennis will be able to talk more about that. But so I want to move away. The biggest, most blaringly obvious strategy is unshackling, unbusy your team, get your VAs busy doing all of that mundane tasks, so your team now proactively can be putting some awesome customer service strategies in place and growing the business, growing the rent roll. Of course, you're going to have a lot more resource to be able to do that. And again, for that list of tasks your VAs can be doing, go to teamsbydesigntasks.com and you'll be able to download that list of 30 tasks from there. Let's just keep on moving on. And now that we've unshackled our team, they're doing there, what are some other strategies our virtual assistants can be doing to directly or indirectly grow the rent roll? And Michael, the next one I've got next cab off the rank is database, building a database of qualified, semi-qualified leads. How do you do that? And what are we going to use a database for? What can we do with it? It's just a list of names, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started doing that database searching, and I had virtual assistants help me with that, they go into CoreLogic, or API data at the time, and I'd give them an area or location, and they would pull all the information from that. It gave us a likely or unlikely if it was a rental or not. So what we would do is, if it was more likely going to be a rental, we would then do title searches on the properties. The title searches would have the address of where the person was living at the time on there, so we could work out the address of the person and then kind of have more direct marketing. But also to understanding that if you get someone to help build a database, they're not going to be 100% hot leads or warm leads. A database is something you need to cultivate and make convert from cold to warm. So the benefit of virtual assistant helping you building a database. It could be going through Yellow Pages, White Pages. It could be going through RP Data. Price Finder in some states is unbelievable. I mean, I was looking at a property in Queensland, and that gave me the address of the owner in addition to the investment property they own.
Yeah.
Like, it's right in front of you. So having someone be able to kind of go through certain areas and find ownership details, that is amazing. It also gives you like last known phone numbers if that's available there too. Also, by clicking on the owner, it shows more often than not what other properties they own.
Yeah. And then you've got a whole plan of attack that you can put around that, right? Which we could talk about for hours.
Well, we showed, I mean, just to kind of go further, we showed someone, they, in a certain area in New South Wales, and they were kind of doubting it. And I said, okay, well, fine, give me an address. So I found the address, we found the person, we found that person also has another property in another state. We got the details of the owner because it was under a company name, but by finding the other property, we found a co-owner to that. We then found the person on Facebook, right? So we then delivered a lead to this person. Yeah. Like, they know that I have a property in the area, it's an investment property, and they've now got direct contact access.
And this person could then like reach out to them on LinkedIn, on all the other socials, just to, become that top of mind with them as well.
And that was like probably 15 to 30 minutes of digging around. Yeah, okay, it's time consuming to build a database. Don't go into this thinking it's going to take 2 minutes to find a database. But this is where the gold is, when you start giving some focus to it. And even a virtual assistant can just start the process.
Yeah.
Right. And then you, with your clever business development mind, can start doing the further digging.
Yeah. I mean, the database isn't just about potential landlords either, Darren. You've got your strategic alliances that they could be looking in your local area and outer areas. Like people make the mistake of only, let's say a strategic alliance is an accountant, right? Or a mortgage broker. Don't just focus on your town or your city that you're in, because accountants and mortgage brokers have got clients all over Australia. I was talking to a mortgage broker through LinkedIn in New Zealand only a couple of weeks ago, asking me for information about a property manager in Queensland, right? So your strategic alliances could be building that database for you as well. So then you could use that in your social media marketing, obviously in your back end, etc., which is just another kettle of fish that your virtual assistant could do. And they could also be connecting with these clients on your behalf. If they've got your access to your LinkedIn, your Facebook as well. There's so much database building they could do.
Yeah, one thing we did, like with, again, the project marketing, and property management, was we had relationships with, the project marketers, and we would be on their database. I know you don't want to be flooded with like all these emails, but we were, so we would be able to see that which people, like accountants and planners, were pushing properties in which states also. So like if let's say I'm in Victoria, I would look at the project marketers in Queensland, and if they're pushing properties in Victoria, then I know that they're the person that I should be speaking to, because they're going to be selling the property. I want access to the property management.
Yeah. So database building, yes, getting a virtual assistant in, looking for those, the private landlords or other landlords that are online. There's so many portals that they could be looking at to find this data as well, but also strategic alliances, because those people are speaking with landlords before they've even spoken to a sales agent.
Okay,
right?
so
it's all about building.
So this really, at the end, just in a quick summary, building a database to then be able to grow the rent roll with, but the database work itself to compile all those qualified, semi-qualified contacts together requires grind work. And you're going, well, I haven't got time for that. My team hasn't got time for it. Correct. That's what a virtual assistant can do for you. And I had my virtual assistant in the last week sending a quick message to everybody on all my LinkedIn contacts with stuff that we're promoting, and we've got results out of that. And I haven't got time to be going through and sending all those messages off. So it's all of that grind work around building the database. So let's move on.
Hold on, Darren. Darren, just to add to that, if we were to call every single business owner in Australia, New Zealand, America, UK, wherever, and say, hey, I've got a list of 300 landlords with name, phone number, and email. Here you go. Are they going to say yes or no?
You'll say yes.
Of course, right? So that's what a virtual assistant could do for you. They're actually doing the work. I mean, you get these emails, buy this database, do this. Get a clean database. Get your staff creating clean databases that you can then action straight away.
So again, mundane grind tasks, everyday stuff that just keeps you busy, needs to be done by virtual assistants. So you and your team can focus on high dollar productive stuff that's going to bring a big return, not just keep people busy. So let's move on now. Let's talk about now, just sorry, as a side thing, anyone out there, you probably didn't capture a lot of what's just been said there, but your appetite has been whet, no doubt. Get in contact with Michael and Dennis, either through teamsbydesign.com or inspiredgrowthtraining.com, where they can go through specifically how to get a virtual assistant busy for you growing the rent roll with database building. They'll be able to just go that a lot clearer for you. Let's now talk about social media and getting our virtual assistants doing the heavy lifting around that. Dennis, you've outlined video editing and videos, you've outlined creating memes, and no doubt posting stuff as well. Let's talk about posting. What are some of the heavy lifting we can be getting virtual assistants to do with just posting stuff, posting text? What can they be doing?
I think to start, no one's going to know your business as well as you. So let's identify that the elephant in the room. People think that they'll get an outsourced company to do their social media, but that's soulless and heartless more often than not. Putting up
zero engagement.
Zero engagement at all.
And it's the same post that they're doing for every other agency in the area as well.
I know. I'd be surprised if those services are still operating.
But a lot of those agencies judge the results based on frequency of posting, not engagement. Now, engagement is where you're going to start popping up in front of everybody, but how a lot of people are doing it, you're not visible at all. Like you might get the likes from your team, but that's it. So knowing that no one knows your business better than you do, having an assistant, and it's a learned process too. They learn your narrative, they learn your language, they learn how you speak, but doing some engaging for you. Not so much, you have to worry about what you're posting. Yes, post things, and we can go deeper on that. But reaching out and commenting as the business, as you, on other people's posts, local people.
Yeah, exactly. And replying comments as well. So it's not just about the post, like Michael was saying. You can post something and you get 20 comments. You should be replying them all and say thank you. But that takes time, to do that. So having someone being able to do that work for you is gold. It keeps that engagement on your post, but then go to your strategic alliances, like Michael's saying, and comment on those posts, on their posts, so that your name is becoming top of mind on their social media, right? Darren, if people are thinking about their own social media, you can create a post and you know that the first 10 people are the same 10 people that are always liking because they've become that raving fan. Well, the idea is to build that raving fan base. And if you're one of them for your potential strategic alliance and clients alone, then you're top of mind, which is it's just gold. It's just, video editing, a lot of people, some great real estate trainers that are out there push to do video because that's the thing to do, but people then don't know how to edit the video or where to post it or whatever. Create the video, get your team to do, your virtual assistant to do the top and tail and do a bit of editing.
Cut the front end, cut the end, transcribe it, put the subtitles on there. All of that work can easily be done by your virtual assistant.
That's right. And then they can post it to all of your platforms on your behalf. Not at the same time, right? But in different platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. They can share it around for you and make sure it's getting in front of the right people for you. Put it in groups as well, right? There's so many areas. And then those educational memes. I mean, you could jump in and quickly do a post, but there's nothing better than having a post with a visual effect on it as well. So, whether they put something, they could be an expert in Canva and do a beautiful post there on your behalf. So while all this groundwork's being done in the back, you could do an educational video, do an educational 10 points. They can put it into a meme for you and make you look like a superstar.
And I'd like to say all of this training is actually accessible right now in the IGT exclusive membership. Just go to the Grow 100 series. If you've got the membership, go to Grow 100 Challenge, I should say, the button there on the dashboard, and just open that up and go to the social media section. And we've got all of these videos around creating memes, educational videos. It's all there. Michael and Dennis are experts of educational videos, and you'll be able to see all of that information. You can learn from it. Also, your virtual assistants can tap into that same training and learn from that. So you, in a lot of cases, don't actually need to be doing your own instructional videos on how to do it. But I just like to say with creating memes, one idea that I know is going to the big social media platforms or pages like Zig Ziglar, for example, or another big motivational Facebook page, and looking at their most popular by likes and comments engagement, the most popular top 20% of memes that they're doing, particularly Zig Ziglar, I like to use and use regularly, and then take those, you know that they're popular, have a look at the message, make sure you're happy with it, it's consistent with your branding and who your company is, don't do anything that's contradictory, and take that message, either recreate it, make sure you must quote who the author is of that quote, or rewrite it, so make it original. But now you can get that message, you know it's highly engaging, get your VA to take that, look for some images, add it on there, and now you've got your own memes. It's really easily done by virtual assistant, and now you can be posting and creating these high engaging, high impact memes with your VA. So you're welcome to reach out to us at inspiredgrowthtraining.com around more details around that, because I get it, you may not get it on the podcast, but is there anything else that our virtual assistants can be doing with social media?
Darren, there is so much. Didn't you want to wrap this up?
We do.
Like, how much time do you want to allocate to
well, we could go all day, but
let's like LinkedIn is a massive area that's underutilized, you know, that they could be, like you said earlier, that you know, getting into the DMs on LinkedIn. People go, well, I don't want to get a message on LinkedIn, but that's what LinkedIn's all about. You know, I won't get into the training on that, but
it's just it's being forefront, like having someone who can engage for you in some capacity. Doesn't have to be like, you know, the top level. It could be something. Something is better than nothing, as long as it's like got a bit of quality to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, it's huge. Well, we have a client at the moment, and they've asked for someone specifically just to do engagement for them, right? And what they've said is that, Michael, if there's a comment and they don't know how to answer it, just call me and I'll tell them what to say for me. I don't have the time to be putting into doing all the engagement, but the way to make this work is communication, being on the same page, and letting your assistant know that you don't have to just come up with crap. Like, if you're stuck and you're not feeling it, call.
Yeah.
And I will tell you what to post, right? But I would much rather do that than sit for like 3 or 4 hours a day. I mean, you see, Kat, my wife, she engages nonstop. She does social media really, really well. I don't have the time or the patience to do what she's doing at that level. But we have a social media team that help us.
I mean, our team does it for us, right? They do our social media, Darren.
I would be lost if it wasn't for our team and of doing all our social media. I meet with them once a week. They look at the content that comes, so I go over it, improve it, or change that. We look at what's gone in the last week. We look at where we can be improving on. It's working so well, like a fine-tuned machine. And Michael, that's all you and Teams by Design. It's been awesome.
As you grow, certain tasks become overwhelming because you feel pressured that you've got to keep posting to social media. And that's when you start pushing that out to your own team to do on your behalf.
Yeah.
You know, they learn your algorithms. I mean, the meetings that you have for our team now, they're quick now because they get it. They understand the pattern, you know, which is great.
So we've got 5 strategies in all. We've covered 3 already. We've talked about unshackling a team, just getting a team unbusy so they can be focusing on growth tasks. That's strategy number 1, with getting a virtual assistant, take all that mundane, everyday grind work. The second one is about building database. We talked about that. Third one was social media. Now, before I go on to 4 and 5, I just want to remind everybody what new growth, how much value it is to the company. Each new property that comes in, you're going to keep it on average of 5 years. 5 years management lifespan of a listing is very typical. And what's the fee income you're going to get? Let's say you're going to get $2,000 fee income a year times by 5, that's 10,000. Let's say you sell that on, the sales team sells it. What commission are you going to get? Or if you sell the rent roll, what's that listing worth? It's really easy to see already. We're probably talking $12,000 to $15,000 per property. So is it worth getting your virtual assistant onto this stuff? Absolutely. You only need to be bringing in one new property a month, and it's fully justified the cost of a VA. So a VA doing these things is an actual investment. It's a no-brainer investment. So moving on, the number 4, Dennis, sales inquiries coming in. How can the virtual assistants be getting involved with sales inquiries coming in from a property management point of view, growth point of view?
Where do I start?
I know, it's just like this is Dennis's ingenuity here in the investor support services. Dennis, but over to you.
It is. I mean, there's so many areas. I mean, they could be doing, personalized newsletters and drip feeds on your behalf, right? Which is, something that we spoke about the other day in keeping all of these investors updated about amazing statistics, proof statements, points of differences that your company has got. And yet, so they could be educating, contacting them via email, even making calls on your behalf as well, through text messages, in updating them about those proof statements, about upcoming properties that would be ideal for investments, which properties would attract better quality tenants, or more executive style tenants, which properties will be less days on market. That's some brilliant stats that investors aren't thinking of when dealing with sales agents, because those stats are experts from property management. So they could be making these touch points. Obviously, the BDM or the property manager in charge of the growth needs to be making that initial call, but they could then be monitoring and keeping an eye on. And then the best thing, they could even say if Michael's the BDM and I'm the VA, I could say, hey, Michael, here's 10 investors I've been dealing with that have inquired on properties in your office. They need calls now because it looks like they're about to buy. So they're keeping that, they can put that accountability onto your BDM as well, which is just brilliant.
What about the comparative market analysis? How can a VA be involved with that?
Well, they can actually prep it all. So obviously, a lot of BDMs like to finalize it, but they can at least jump into your CoreLogic, RP Data, Price Finder, whatever platform that you're using, and they can put all the property details in there that somebody's looking to do an appraisal on, and then the BDM just has to go in and just, finalize it. So they could turn up. Let's say you've got 10 appraisals to do in a week. They could have all of those ready and saved within the platform that you're using. So then all the work's done.
It also comes down to communication and letting your support team know what you're looking for. So yes, a virtual assistant probably doesn't know that particular property is 40 square meters and the one that you've got is 80 square meters. But they can definitely let you know, like, well, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, one car park, and so is. But it's that continual learning and communication that you give your support team, where they are going to pick it up, and eventually they will be the perfect person to say, hey, this 1 bedroom, 1 bath, the properties are between 360 and 420. This one sits at 400. What do you think? Right? So we're looking at people, yes, want to have more control over selecting what the rent is. But I've got to tell you, my experience with people predicting rent, they were off. I would say it's probably a little bit more, but I use better marketing and I could justify why I think we could get better rent.
Yeah, yep. And another point that a virtual assistant can do on behalf of a BDM, if they're busy and they're in network meetings or they're at conferences or they're doing a rental analysis on a property, they can actually answer the phone for you. So you've got that personal touch and it doesn't just go to voice message. Look, Michael's just in a meeting at the moment. I'll get him to give you a call. I'll take your details. And then they could even be sending off some information for them via an email. So that potential lead has received something and they're not waiting anymore.
The pre-listing
kit.
The
pre-listing kit they could send out, hey, I'll just get some information for you. Have a look at this. I'll get Michael to give you a call. So what it's doing, it's minimizing wait time, okay, and it's speeding up, feeding those leads some information so that they're not feeling like that they haven't got what they needed. Because people call you. We are such a now society. Crikey, you hit the roller door on the garage when you're driving in the driveway. It takes 7 seconds to go up, but we're so impatient. That's a long time, so that they can speed that whole touch point process for you.
Wow, I think that's awesome, particularly when one property management that comes in has got fee income of over 5 years, anywhere 10 grand or more, plus the value to the rent roll if the rent roll sold. That's probably $3,000 to $5,000 in itself. Or if the property is sold by the real estate sales team, there's that commission of $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Having a VA working full time on the things that we've already discussed would easily justify the cost.
100%.
Yeah,
guys, I'm already thinking we're going to be talking more about doing training just around this stuff. And bringing virtual assistants on just to grow the rent roll. We're talking rent roll growth VAs. I think there's not just VAs that do the busy stuff for property managers. There's a rent roll growth VA, plus also we're talking about having VAs that just do executive assistants as well.
Yeah, Darren, another point that a VA can do just to add to it, to add some extra value is any strategic alliance or salesperson that's referred business to the property manager or the VDM, they can keep them updated on your behalf. Right, nothing worse than not keeping that referee up to date, so they can take care of all of those things, and you can focus on the growth.
Personalized updates rather than a canned template response.
Yeah,
letting people know where things are at. It's more value.
Just want to let you know, Darren's gone out to Michael's house. He's doing the appointment today. We'll keep you posted on how it goes. Little things like that is awesome.
All right, last one, guys. Absentee owners. How can we be using a virtual assistant to be farming absentee owners?
Where do we start?
Over to you. You start where you want to start.
Firstly, they can identify. Michael touched on it earlier about, that database. So you could actually, have a virtual assistant online on all the portals looking for those private owners. There is so many websites that private owners can be advertising their properties on. So they could be identifying these on your behalf, right? These are clear-cut leads, right, that should be actioned. It doesn't matter what country you're in, they should be actioned. And there's so much training around that. So they could be doing, finding the private owners. They could be contacting them on your behalf, educating them, sending them some information that helps rent out their property, whatever. They could then also be sending a video. So if you've got an educational video on how to lease the property out faster, they could actually be sending that out on behalf to them as well. There's
I've got to jump in here because, again, back to the IGT exclusive membership under the Grow 100 challenge. If you go in there, we've got a whole section on converting private owners. So once they've been identified with the virtual assistant, now it's over to the team there to convert that private owner. Dennis, your strategies from this point on to actually get the management from the private owner, to convert them from manage it themselves to giving it to an agency, is the best, most effective training I've ever seen. You had a 100% or 99.99% conversion rate when you approach private owners once they've been identified. Yep. It's all that training's all in the IGT exclusive membership. So we could go on and on. We do have to wrap this up. Just want to say to everyone out there, just get in contact with Michael and Dennis. Of course, Michael through teamsbydesign.com, reach out, go through. I can see, guys, we can get a virtual assistant on board just to grow the rent roll. And right now, just mention this podcast and we will include, if you get a full-time virtual assistant on board, talk to Michael, we'll give you the IGT exclusive membership portal for free. I know, sorry, Dennis, I think I'm this first, but it's going to allow you to
$300 a month value.
I know, it's $297 a month. I know, but when it's together, now your team's going to get all of the strategies they need to grow the rent roll. Plus, you got time management and communication and overcoming stress and burnout, all that property manager nuts and bolts. So much social media grow your rent roll content as well. So the best thing is just reach out to Michael, teamsbydesign.com, and get in touch, have a chat about how a virtual assistant can grow your rent roll. There's so much that can be done there. I know with you guys, with your knowledge, you can be very, very easily showing how that's done. And of course, to get the task, go to teamsbydesigntask.com, and you can download the 30 tasks that can be unshackled and unbusy your team with. So well done, guys.
Darren, it doesn't cost anything for a phone call. If anyone's got any concerns or they're feeling anti it or whatever the case, it's worth having that phone call. And, Michael can identify what's best suited for you. Even some of the things that we've discussed today, it may not suit their office. There could be better tasks that could be focused on. And that's just a phone call, Michael asking certain questions, and, those things can be easily identified and set up, specifically for their agency.
I think we all agree, done properly, all the things we've just discussed will keep one person busy full time. And just get that one property a month through this more than pays off. This is just a no-brainer strategy. I think the goal is, guys, every office needs a full-time VA just focused on growth activities.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well done, guys. I think that's been awesome. That's been an eye-opener for me as well, with the possibilities that can happen. So thanks, everyone. And
thank you.
Yeah, reach out if you want to chat some more.
Take care.